So I will admit, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to say up here today. Some of you might remember me asking you what you would like to hear. I gotta say, most of your suggestions were really not that helpful at first. Say whatever you want to say. It's your speech, and speak from your heart. Yeah, you know, I kind of gathered that. I was kind of like, you know, what do you guys want to hear? Like, give me some substantial things here. Okay, I'll work with it. Needless to say, after taking your suggestions and thinking about it for a while, I figured something out. Here goes. I've always been grateful for PCC throughout these past 5 years, but I didn't realize how much of an impact this group has had on my life and how much I'm going to miss it until just recently. I'm going to start my story from beginning. I came to the U of R like most freshmen, confused, nervous, wondering what the future held for me. Ironically, I find myself in the exact same position today. However, I at least had the advantage of being local. Yes, I wanted to find a faith community on campus that I fit into, but if worst came to worst, it was only a half-hour drive home, and I could just attend church services there, and hopefully make friends through other venues. No offense to my home church, but I am grateful that this did not end up happening. I found a very welcoming community at PCC, and it was this community that kept me coming back week after week. While at first, I only saw people at worship service on Sundays, I quickly realized that I kept running into these people all over campus. And it was great as a freshman to see a familiar face and to have someone recognize me and say, hi. Eventually, I started breaking out of my shell of shyness. Yeah, I know, those of you who know me, I'm not a shy person, whatever. I eventually started coming to dinner dialogues every Wednesday, and I quickly became known as the Queen of Tangents. Lori.
It's true.
Lori, I would like to point out I have gotten way better at this and have successfully passed this torch on to later generations.
Uh-oh. Really?
I think so. Anyways, freshman year came and went. I found myself on steering committee my sophomore year, and I really started to understand all the work that goes into making this group function. There's a lot that I must say. But being a part of steering committee made me realize that the people in PCC really cared about each other and were dedicated to making sure the group functioned as a community of Christians. I also started to realize that it was okay to ask questions about my faith, and realized that not everyone held the exact same beliefs as I did. I was not only okay with this, I actually really enjoyed this aspect of PCC, and it's probably my favorite part. This year, my sophomore year, was also when I joined OBOC. And as most of you know, I love being part of that group. But I doubt I would have joined OBOC had it not been for the members of PCC who encouraged me to join and who I recognized at that first rehearsal. And at this point, I know most of you don't know him, but I really feel the need to thank Dan Allen, even though he's not here. He's had way too much influence on my collegiate experience not to make it into this speech. My junior year, I don't like remembering my junior year. I'm still trying to figure out how I survived that year, and honestly, I don't think I could have had it not been for the support I found here at PCC. I'd bitten off a bit more than I could chew at this point. It was my first semester as a freshman RA. I was taking my first ridiculous math class along with organic chemistry, which, by the way, I recommend this to no one. I had started to become more involved in OBOC, and I was helping to get the Carillon Society up off the ground. Needless to say, I found myself at UCC shortly after the beginning of the semester being diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. To those of you who were around 2 years ago, you might not have realized it, but being around you guys helped me get through these things. Now last year was when I was supposed to be dealing with the whole, what do I want to do with the rest of my life thing. But it's kind of hard to do that when you know in advance that you have an extra year to kind of put things off. So I gotta say though, in hindsight, the extra year really didn't help. So this year, I finally had to face the fact that I'm not coming back in the fall. I'm not coming back to the familiar college campus that's been my home for the past 5 years. I'm not coming back to classes, clubs, and food from the pit. And I'm not coming back to a faith community that I'm already a part of. This last part didn't hit me until I started interviewing for jobs in residence life. I was under the impression that most colleges, while they might not necessarily have a full-time chaplain, at least had some sort of interfaith chapel-like building on campus for various faith groups to worship. Well, not only did I find that most colleges don't have an interfaith chapel or something like that for worship, but that most of them really didn't have any faith groups with students on campus. So students at these colleges have to go off campus if they wish to find a group to worship with. Needless to say, while I know things will eventually work themselves out in the end, I am now terrified of what my future holds. Say nothing about the fact that I was using my interest in interfaith activity as a conversation starter in my interviews. Oops. But I've come to really appreciate the fact that PCC exists on this campus, and I'm grateful for all the support it's given me these past 5 years. And I'd like to end by saying thank you to a whole bunch of people. To all my fellow PCC students, you may not have realized, but thank you for being there to listen to me when I needed it. And thank you for being a part of my life on this campus. I'm really going to miss you guys next year. And I best hear from everyone on Facebook at the very least. Lori, thank you for being an awesome boss and for giving me my first real job experience and for listening to me all of those times I was in your office and helping me sort through my own thoughts. And I am sorry, but you were not successful in thwarting my attempts to graduate. To Pastor Todd, Mom, Dad, all my church people from Zion, church people from the community, and to all the GACM board members, thank you so much for supporting this group for all these years. I know it really means a lot to me, and speaking on behalf of my fellow students, I know it really means a lot to everybody here. Finally, Chris. All I can say is you're awesome. I'm really going to miss your music next year. And as I have said to you before, you are not allowed to change your phone number because when and if I ever do get married, you are playing for it.